seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, guys? It's Clutch Entertainment here, back with another video. And for today's, we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans. And of course, week 2 is upon us. We're going to be playing the Indianapolis Colts at home in NRG Stadium, our first home game. CJ Stroud's first home game. Will Anderson's first home game. DeMeco Ryans' first home game back as a Houston Texan, or at least of a member as a Houston Texan, as he's the head coach now. But it's going to be a very fun game. But the point of this video is to talk about Derek Stingley Jr.'s performance this past Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. And now when you look at that performance, you don't see any interceptions. You don't see anything like that. No true pass breakups. But what you do see is just pure perfectionist. I mean, only 2 targets, 1 catch, and the 1 catch was for 20 yards. And I mean, that catch, it was not much he could do on that one. I think it was from Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers pretty much just ran I want to say it was a crossing route. Wasn't too much he could do on that one. He just couldn't keep up. But then the other, notable thing that Derek Stingley kind of did wrong, or wrong in quotation marks, because it was a questionable call, was the pass interference call on Odell Beckham. I guess it depends on the referee who's calling the game. Some referees are going to call that pass interference, some aren't. And that's just, I guess, it is what it is. And Derek Stingley was caught on the wrong side of that. So only 2 really, bad, in quotation mark, bad things that he did was let that 20-yard catch go and then the PI. But outside of that, he was phenomenal. He didn't let Odell Beckham see a day of light. He didn't let Zay Flowers see a day of light. Of course, outside of that, he covered his side of the field. It was locked down. He made a great tackle. I think it was on the first or second drive. It was a perfect form tackle. So he had a great tackle on a receiver that had the pass, and he absolutely just laid him out. It was a great form tackle. But Derek Stingley Jr., he looked phenomenal. He looked like he was worth drafting at number 3 overall. And if you say otherwise, I just don't know what to tell you. As of right now, so out of week 1, I think he has a better season so far. Yes, it's just 1 game, but he's having a better season so far than Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner had 5 targets for 4 catches and 59 yards, and he kind of got picked on for a little bit. Obviously, they turned away from him, but for a little bit, it looked like he was getting picked on. But yeah, he had a pretty good game, I guess, overall, too. But Derek Stingley, he just had a way better game. He had to cover better receivers. I don't think you can say that, because Sauce Gardner had to cover a little bit of Stephon Diggs, a little bit of Gabe Davis. But Stingley, he was all over the field. He locked up his side of the field. One thing that I really don't like, obviously it worked, so I can't really say anything about it. But one thing I just personally don't like is how he's basically only staying on one side of the field. I don't really like that, because if you notice, sometimes on the side of the field that he's on, sometimes there's no receivers. Maybe it's just a tight end. And if it's a good tight end like Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews in this case, but he wasn't playing. Maybe if it was Mark Andrews, I'd understand. Or Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, one of the elite premier receiving threats of a tight end, then I'd understand it. But I think you need to just keep him on the number 1 receiver at all times. Sometimes Steven Nelson was on OBJ. Sometimes Stingley was on OBJ. Sometimes they were mismatching Zay Flowers. And I guess it kind of helps your defense in the sense of the offense isn't going to know who's on who. So it makes it harder for them to call plays to specific receivers. They don't know who's going to be covering who at that specific time. So it's a little bit of an advantage to DeMeco Ryans and his defense, which I understand. But this is my personal preference. I'd rather him cover the number 1 receiver all the time. That's probably why I'm not a defense coordinator in the NFL. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's probably one of the dumbest things. But it just seems like it would be more appealing for Derek Stingley to be on OBJ 90% of the time, instead of flip-flopping to the tight end, to the running back, to OBJ, to Zay Flowers, to the other guys. It just seems kind of confusing. It can cause a little bit more confusion for the secondary, but our secondary is talented enough for them to notice, or for them to realize who's on who. We probably have a top 10 secondary, especially after this game. I think there's a stat out there, since 2022, we've only allowed, I think it's either 15 or 16 passing touchdowns, which is first in the NFL. And, that's a great stat. You're not number 1 on a stat a lot of times. There's 32 teams in the NFL. And for the Texans to be number 1 on 1, I think that's pretty telling, especially from how much we've upgraded and improved our secondary. We all remember in 2018, 2019, how just bad our secondary was. It just wasn't good at all, really. We were signing quarterbacks off the street. I can't even remember some of the names. Sharice Wright was one of them. No offense to Sharice Wright. I mean, he came in here. He wasn't good, but he came in here. He did his job at times. But guys like that, we were trying Sharice Wright. Just different guys. I can't even think of their names. We would sign a bunch of random guys, and then now we actually have a set foundation on our secondary. I mean, Steven Nelson, I'm not going to sit here and act like he's a long-term piece to the secondary, but he can be here for another good 2 to 3 years and probably still be at a okay level. I'm not going to say elite because age is going to start catching up to him, but he can still be at an okay level, especially in this defense where DeMeco is able to hide your weaknesses. Derek Stingley, I mean, he's only 21, 22. He still has like another 10-plus years of playing. There's no reason to worry about him anytime soon. Jimmy Ward, I mean, his play is going to start slowing down a little bit too. I think he's on the plus side of 30. Jalen Petrie, only 24. Slot cornerback, he's only like, I think, 27, 28 to Veer Thomas's, something like that. So he still has a good 5 years or so. I mean, our secondary is pretty young, and for them to be gelling this well this early, our number one cornerback to be only 22, he's probably going to end up being a top 5 cornerback in this league by the time you know it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 10 cornerback, like a solidified top 10 cornerback by mid-season. Maybe by the end of the season, be a top 7 guy. Like, be a guy that the whole NFL media is talking about. Like, now you only see them talk about Sauce Gardner because, of course, it's New York. It's the media over there. You're not going to see that a lot for Derek Stingley. You're not going to see a lot of Derek Stingley love because Houston, for one, we're not a playoff team. 2, I mean, we just don't have a lot of stuff going for us right now in terms of success. And Houston is a pretty notable media market. I'm just not sure why Derek Stingley is not getting the same love that Sauce Gardner is getting when Derek Stingley is arguably better than him. Or, for me, he is better than Sauce. Sauce is the type of cornerback when you want a big play, when you want a bigger chance to get a big turnover, then you want Sauce. But if you want consistent cornerback play, consistent running with the receiver, not letting him get open, consistent just shadowing the guy, Derek Stingley is your guy. Sauce Gardner is going to let up more catches, more PIs than what a Derek Stingley would get, but at the same time, Sauce Gardner has a better chance to get a bigger play. He has a bigger chance to get an INT. He has a bigger chance to get a pass breakup. But Derek Stingley is not going to get that chances because he's not even going to let anybody throw on him. That's the difference, I think. And for me, that's why Derek Stingley's better than Sauce, but that's a whole different video. It's just talking about how good Derek Stingley's performance was this past weekend. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? This week, we're going to be playing Anthony Richardson. Derek Stingley's going to be going up against Michael Pittman. Whoever the tight end is for the Colts, who knows at this point? Whoever the wide receiver 2 is for the Colts, we have no idea. There's going to be a lot of switching around, I'm sure, for the Colts. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to do. Shouldn't be too hard of a battle for Derek Stingley. Pittman is a good receiver, but Anthony Richardson, not the best of throwers from 10 yards out. So, should be a fun game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple picks from this Texans secondary. But yeah, what do you guys think? It's been a clutch in your entertainment, and hope you guys have a good day. Peace.